Taking responsibility is a really interesting topic, and let me kind of preface this by saying I do not purport to have all the answers here or to completely understand the concepts, but I do have my own opinions, and I guess that's what I'm going to be sharing with you here. The reason I'm sharing them is because I have found this way of thinking to be empowering. I have found that thinking about responsibility and victim and this whole kind of dynamic has been empowering, hey there, to me. And so that's what I want to share with you. So that's what this is all about today. So hi, welcome. I'm Kylie Ansett. I am the Alignment Whisperer, and I help you get into alignment with your inner wisdom. That part of you that has all the answers, that knows what to do and knows what is the path of least resistance to getting you exactly what you want and desire. So that's what I'm here to kind of help you tap into. That's my goal anyway. And I'm coming to you from beautiful Sydney, Australia, and this is your daily dose of alignment. Okay, so taking responsibility. Oh my God, this is such a triggering topic because taking responsibility and being a victim are kind of polar opposite positions to be in. Now, again, I'm going to kind of preface this with saying this is what the methods that I have used that have helped me in feeling empowered no matter what the situation. And that's what I'm offering to you. Now, I know that we all have our own journey. We all have our own path to walk, and you may not be in a place where you're either ready to hear this or to follow, some of these ways, or it just may not feel aligned for you. And because everything that I do is about helping you get in alignment with your inner wisdom, then that's what you need to follow. You don't follow or even need to push against what doesn't feel aligned for you. That has to come from your own inner wisdom. So like if I do nothing else but allow you to tap into that, then yay, that's kind of my goal here. Okay, so first of all, the way that has helped me feel incredibly empowered about everything that happens in my life. Now, of course, the good things we just like, yes, I'll take that. I'm kind of more talking about the bad things or the things that we push against or the things that are, not fair, why me, that kind of thing. The things that we wished hadn't have happened, or, that we were born in a different family, or that, we had a different upbringing, or we had this or that, or like any of those things. So the way that I have come to terms with those is by 100% taking responsibility. Now, this is where this gets kind of murky or potentially misunderstood. It's a topic that is very subtle, and so it is really easy to misunderstand, especially if you are coming from a different perspective than where I'm coming from. So bear with me and kind of have an open mind about hearing this rather than a feeling of being accused or blamed, because 100% there is no energy of that coming from what I'm saying. So by seeing that 100% of what I'm experiencing and 100% of my circumstances are my responsibility is actually incredibly empowering. And rather than being something that is disempowering, or rather than being a victim to circumstances, by seeing it that way, it puts me in the driver's seat. So a lot of people, when they hear this, and especially when we're talking about things like law of attraction and these kind of universal laws, a lot of people see this as a blame game, or even like karma. The way a lot of people understand karma is kind of like it's a blame game. Well, this bad thing happened to you because you did X, Y, Z, whatever, so you deserve it. Or that person's, bad things are happening to them because they deserve it. And that's just so, it's like it's like, you know, two different languages being spoken. Like the interpretation is not there. This is not what that is about at all. So let me try and explain what it is about, because here I am telling you what it's not about. By taking responsibility, you are taking ownership of a circumstance without trying to understand the whys and wherefores, because that will just lead you down a kind of a rabbit hole of like never-ending kind of you know, you there is no answer. The further you go down trying to understand why something bad happened, the more you're drawing that energy towards you. And so it really just adds to confusion and to blame and to victim and all that kind of thing. Whereas if you stand back and say, okay, this circumstance I have created, this existence I am in is of my own creation, and I take responsibility for that. And that puts me in the driver's seat. That actually empowers me to know that not only did I create what I'm currently experiencing, not only did I create what I have already experienced, but now I'm creating what I'm going to experience. And after all, that's the only thing we have any say over, or like in this moment, that's the only thing we have any influence over, is what we're going to experience, going to create and therefore experience next. That's what we have power over right now. We don't have any power over what's already happened, because it's already happened, because we are living this linear existence. We're living in a time that does have a past, present, and future. That this is the way we are experiencing reality. So by feeling that you are not responsible, if you think of it that way, it actually puts you on the back foot. It makes you a victim to your circumstances. Now, a victim by its very definition is someone who has no power. Excuse me. Excuse me. Okay. Has no power. Even saying it makes me like cough and splutter. So powerlessness is it is part of what being a victim is. If you are a victim, you're not coming from a place of strength. Now, you may feel that circumstances have gone against you. You may feel that circumstances are not in your favor. But if you also then lay on top of that you're a victim, then you are entirely unable to change them. And anything you do will only be enhancing your status. It will only be solidifying that status of being a victim. If you shake your fist at a circumstance as this is not fair, and you know, like everything that would come from that place of being a victim, you are looking at the problem, and the solution will never come by looking at the problem, because when you look at the problem, you just draw more of the energy that created that problem. And because it's a problem, that energy is not something that you want more of, because that's just going to create more problems. So no matter what your circumstances, no matter what has happened to you, no matter what is going on around you, if you, instead of seeing yourself as a victim, if you see yourself as in the driver's seat, now, not necessarily to change the past, because hello, none of us can do that, not even to understand how the past was created, because that just kind of emphasizes what maybe you didn't do right, or where you were out of alignment then. But if you focus on what you want your future to look like, that is a totally different energy. That is an energy that says, well, that was then. I've decided experiencing that is something I don't like. So what that shows me is, well, this is what I do like. So that's where my energy and my focus is going to be, on what I do like. Now, if you're looking at where you want to go and what you want your circumstances or surroundings or environment or anything to be, if you're looking at that, that's a completely different vibration and energy. And from that, now here's the thing. So you're still sitting in that, circumstance that is less than ideal. You're still there in the present moment, but you're looking here. Okay, you're looking toward where you want to be going. And so that's where your vibration is. And because that is something that is more expansive than where you are now, it's a higher vibration. It's in that higher vibration that your energy is now being directed. So in this very second, what you're experiencing is still, from the outside world could be still seen as you're a victim. But you are not feeling like a victim because you're looking towards that place that you are going. That's where your energy is now directed. Can you see how the exact opposite is if you are looking towards there where you've been and you're looking towards the past and you're looking towards what happened and the energy that created that, now your energy's down here. Well, what do you think you're going to be creating by having that going on? Can you see how this is how you take responsibility? This is how you step into the driver's seat and hold that place of empowerment, as opposed to being in the place of disempowerment, of being out of control of circumstances. This is how you take control. And can you see that nothing has actually changed to the outside? Like on the outside world, everything is still the same. Everything that you're experiencing that is happening to you, that hasn't changed. But your experience has done a polar shift. Like you've done a 180. You are completely from there to there, and that is going to change everything that happens in the future. And that's the exciting thing. Like that's the thing that we aspire towards. That's where we create our reality by what we are doing right now in this red hot minute. Right now is where we're creating our reality. And let's face it, right now is the only thing you have control over. You have no control over the past, and you kind of have no control over the future, but you do have control over now, and your now creates the future. So indirectly, you kind of do have control over the future. So that is my message for you today. Like, this is a huge topic, and I could talk about this for hours and hours because it's so nuanced and it's so in depth and it's so thought-provoking. At least I find it is. And so many of us have been trained to sit in victim status and only see ourselves as someone who is disempowered and is not able to and is affected by our circumstances and has no control over them. So it is such a, there's so much subtlety with it. There's so much, potential to, as I said in the beginning, to have misunderstanding around it. Now, this is, I think, when we are able to be open around this, because if we identify very strongly as someone who is powerless because of what's happened to us or because of what's happening around us, if we identify very strongly from that perspective, it can be, there's almost a closing down, or there's like a blinkered way of observing the world. We almost don't want to know. I'll give you an example. As a healer, I have had clients over the years who have been diagnosed with certain illnesses. Like, I'm talking about sort of chronic, long-term, incurable illnesses that just cause them to kind of have a not very pleasant life. And for whatever reason, they have found that illness gave them an identity, and it allowed them to see me and allowed them to see doctors multiple times a month, and it allowed them to elicit a certain amount of attention and sympathy and so forth. Now, it probably started from a very kind of wholesome place, but over time it degenerated into an identity that wasn't serving them, but they couldn't see that. Actually, let me rephrase that, because I can't take that away from them. It was serving them. That's the point. That identity was serving them for whatever reason. And I was not a psychiatrist, psychologist. I wasn't there to fix why they were mentally holding themselves in that place. But I could see it. And I also wasn't going to play the game, so I was not the healer for them, because after 1 or 2 sessions, I would really put the ball back in their court and say, if you want to shift this, you know, this is kind of your responsibility, not mine. Which is how I always interact with any of my clients as a healer or as a coach. Like, I'm always, the responsibility for someone's shift and change is entirely up to them. I will act as a catalyst. I'll hold the space. I'll shine the light, but like, they got to do the work. So what I would see is being a victim to this kind of illness or whatever was serving a purpose for them, but it wasn't making them very happy. But anyway, that's the place that they decided to hold themselves. And from that place, they were unable to hear anything that I had to say that was going to kind of free them from those shackles, because for them, they weren't shackles. They served a purpose. Like, for some people, I would say they hadn't had attention from their husband in 45 years, and suddenly, because the doctors had given them this, you know, triple-barreled name and this diagnosis, and they were going to the doctors every 5 minutes and getting a lot of attention from the medical staff, now they had a lot of attention from their husband, which they hadn't had in a long time, or, you know, potentially since they were first married. So it was serving a purpose. As a healer, I found that frustrating, but I also need to own that was, you know, it was a reflection of me being triggered by someone who didn't want to step away from being a victim. So I won't lie, this for me is a hot topic, because I react so strongly to seeing other people hold themselves in victim status and not step out of it, not be willing to step out of it. So for me, it is definitely a hot topic, and I'm definitely seeing around the interwebs a lot of talk, a lot of stuff that you know, I have an immediate sort of visceral reaction to it, and I am watching that, because again, I only have control over me. I'm not there to try and fix the world. That's not my job. My job is to control what's going on for me, my experience. Like, do I feel like a victim by having to see and read these things? And if I do, then what can I do to step into my power and to be and take control in the driver's seat of that? Because, you know, it doesn't stop anywhere. It's a continual expansion. It's a continual learning. It's a continual up-leveling. And, you know, that's for me, that is the entire purpose for being on this earth, for being alive, is to continually expand, continually grow more into our true selves, and finding always, everywhere circumstances and situations where we can discover how to do that. And some of those will be like, I guess we could say painful, we could say contrasting. There'll be contrasting situations that will be like, I really don't like that. And because through that I don't like that circumstance, we learn how to step more into our purpose. So that I don't like it circumstance, that contrasting situation, serves us and becomes a tool for growth. So this is what I do for myself on a daily basis. There's almost never a day that goes by where such things can't happen. Even like watching movies and TV series and stuff like that, there'll be situations there where I'm doing my own little psychological analogies of it, because there's opportunities everywhere. That's the joy of life, right? That's the joy of the whole thing. That's how I find it joyful. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for spending your time and energy. I would love to hear your thoughts about this, because my goodness, it is a juicy topic. Would you agree? It certainly gets me fired up, and there's certainly many, many opportunities to play with it. So I would love to hear what your thoughts are. I'd love to hear if this is a topic you have opinions on. I'm sure it is. Feel free to share them. You know, I'm always interested to hear people who feel differently or have something further to add to, you know, where I'm coming from. At any rate, thank you so much for playing with me here in the Alignment Sandbox, and I look forward to hanging out with you again tomorrow. Bye.